Good morning, Rooters. Welcome to another edition of Rivet Remote Flash. I'm your host, Travis. With me is Red. I am remotely out of a garage slash shop slash work area slash. Well, when you live on a farm, everything is work area. Not me, but everybody else who lives here on the farm. Anyway, today we are going to talk about a couple of things. Red, why don't you go ahead and knock a few things out for us?
Well, my favorite thing over the last week, well, didn't bring it much up on the previous Flash because it's plugging on go. Some more plugging on go. But other news in the nerdy world, the latest Magic set has been released. Pre-release happened last weekend, and full release happened yesterday on the 22nd. Eldritch Moon. And so last weekend I did my first experience for me. I did two pre-release events. One at my local game shop, Highlander Games, over in Columbia Heights, and a second one at our sponsor Level Up over in South St. Paul at Sunday. And let me tell you, that was a really awesome experience. I'm really glad that Didax and Wolfog got me into Magic. I had a ton of fun with it. I will shamelessly say in the past 6 months I've dropped about $300 on Magic and various Magic accessories. And I've learned a lot about well, it's a great exercise in tactical thinking. Magic is a very heavy tactics game. I mean, it's a fight. You're in a fight, and the fight's going to be either, there's several ways to win. Your strategy has to change drastically based on what your opponent has, what your opponent's doing. And sometimes you can do some really weird stuff to advance your agenda. Like, I have one of the guys I played against in the pre-release tourney. I had drawn this really beefy character, and basically he was immune, sort of, from having spells cast on him, right? If you cast if you charge him with any spell or ability, instead of taking the hit, he just exiles, and then you can cast him back for the same cost. And so I thought that was a great benefit, right? I was like, yeah, so you can never really truly kill this guy. I can always bring him back. Well, my opponent was like, but I don't want him to be here. So he would cast buffs on my guy to banish him. and that further Nintendo, because some of the abilities that his creatures had played off the amount of cards he had in his graveyard. And so I would bring out my big guy, he'd burn a card to get rid of him again, and then be helping himself in the process. And we went through that twice, finally figured out what he was doing, and I was like, oh, fuck. So it's been a really great experience for me, and with a lot of friends. Highlander is a small shop, but they've got a rather loyal Magic crowd. I've been going to Friday Night Magic rather frequently, and yeah, I mean, you definitely need to support your local game shops if you're going to get into Magic. Find the game shop close to you and spend your money there. You need to pay where you want to play, because if they go under, you need to go somewhere else to play, and it's probably a lot further away. Level Up was much larger, and its size itself was definitely worth the experience. But for me, it was further away. But they've been good to us. They have a great selection, and it was an awesome experience. Chad, their guy that runs the Magic tournament, that guy is on top of things. You will end the round when I tell you to. You will build the deck when I tell you to. It is now time to Magic.
As it should be.
I definitely foresee myself continuing to bounce back and forth between those two shops, and potentially visiting some other ones in the area. And, yeah. Why don't you tell us about Elon Musk?
Well, 10 years ago, Mr. Elon Musk decided to write a master plan for Tesla. And it went a little something like this. Create a low volume car, which would necessarily be expensive. And then number 2, use that money to develop a medium volume car at a lower price. And then number 3, use that money to create an affordable high volume car. And then the final phase of that step was to provide solar power. So they are in the final stages of that first master plan of getting all those pieces out. And you've seen a lot of these phases come out in the last year with the new Tesla car that just came out, and a lot of those because you remember the first Tesla cars that came were super expensive and super awesome, but you know, I mean, not you and I aren't going to be able to afford those. Yeah, but as the years have progressed, right, and so, but now they're kind of getting to a point where it makes a little bit more sense, and you can see that progression. So they followed the plan very well. So now it's come time for Elon to release Plan Part 2. And it goes a little something like this. Create stunning solar roofs with seamlessly integrated battery storage. Expand the electric vehicle product line to address all major segments. Develop a self-driving capability that is 10x safer than manual via massive fleet learning. And enable your car to make money for you when you aren't using it. All 4 of these are pretty interesting prospects. And Elon wrote a really awesome blog on the Tesla.com blog covering all of this. I'm going to try to quickly paraphrase for all you. You can obviously find this at Tesla.com. So for the integrated so the integrated battery storage. Basically, what they're trying to accomplish there is to combine their Tesla and SolarCity and Powerwall companies and create a smoothly integrated and beautiful solar roof with battery product that just works. So essentially, to be able to create a much easier and more consumer-based energy storage and solar capabilities, which is awesome. And then they want to expand to cover the major forms of terrestrial transport. Basically, is to scale up all of their current vehicle production to not only accommodate what they're doing now, which is just basically cars, but then to trucks and SUVs and buses and that kind of stuff. So then now they want to expand from just the cars to everything, every kind of vehicle. And with autonomy, what they want to talk about is they want to get to a point where their entire fleet is fully autonomous. And to do that, they have to build out a bunch of fleet mileage, and they have to build their complete fleet learning capacity. This is happening at just over 3 million miles per day, and they need to get regulatory approval. They need something like 6 billion miles of travel for the fleet learning process, so that way we can actually figure out how autonomy is going to work. And they're pushing pretty hard on that. And another big piece to that is how they're going to integrate how a car is going to make money for you while you're not driving it. So imagine that you have a Tesla.
You're a telecommuter.
And
you don't really need your vehicle all that often. And
well, see, here we go. You see, now this would be super cool for you, and then it works super cool for me when I go on massive trips. Here's the deal. Let's say you own a fully autonomous Tesla, okay? When you're not using it, you can go tell it to join the rest of the Tesla, the shareable Tesla fleet, and it will make money for you that could potentially offset your lease costs or car payment per month, or exceed it. So in the world, they're gonna have like a fully autonomous Tesla fleet, so you can they'll be kind of driving around, or available for people to select and then pull for their needs. And you can, while you can have your own personal vehicle, you can basically, for lack of a better term, donate it back to the fleet, or donate its time while you're not using it back to the fleet, and it'll generate income for you. because it's part of the shareable fleet, and that's assuming that the shareable fleet is something that is available for everyone, like kind of like an Uber. Like you just summon it and it comes to get you, and then it takes you to your destination, drops you off, and you're done. So your car can be part of that service fleet, and then while it is part of that service fleet, it's generating that income for you. Kind of cool, pretty clever. So yeah, for a telecommuter like yourself, and for a guy who goes on crazy trips like all the time like me, I mean, you know, like I don't need my car right now. You don't need your car right now. It could be out in the ether, right? And then when it's all done, you just summon it right back to you.
I mean, depending
That's
on
pretty
how
cool.
it works out. Like, imagine this, right? Say I get a truck, you get an SUV, right? And those come in high demand. You go to the metro area and they're not as common, but you know, people move, people buy furniture. You know, I count on, you know, I've been a lot of times where I've been bribed to just take someone on an IKEA run because, you know, they don't want to strap flat packs to the top of their Prius. But
Right.
you know, it could conceivably be cheaper to own our own like pickup utility vehicles, leave them as part of the fleet, and then like, oh, I'm gonna go out with my friends tonight. I'll pay the fleet to borrow just a little car to go out. But
Yeah, that could be really interesting piece. Right. Because you don't need your truck, or if you had a truck, but then you needed an SUV, right?
Yeah. Well, you know,
Trade it for a day or whatever.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Cool. So, yeah, it's cool. It's a fantastic idea, and considering Tesla's track record so far, I think they could really make this happen. So that's fantastic.
If anyone can do it, Musk can do it.
Yeah, no kidding, right? All right.
Between him and Tony Stark these days.
Yeah, a lot of people are making that commitment, which, you know, I mean, yeah, next is the Iron Man suit. You can see just Elon Musk flying around in his Tesla Iron Man suit. Anyway, so check out Tesla.com. You can read the whole master plan. There's a lot of nuance in there, a lot of really good little tidbits of knowledge. Anyway, that's what I have for this week. I thought that was pretty awesome. So,
yeah,
you got anything else there? Redness?
Yeah. Just got a little blurb. You know, being the InfoSec guy that I am, and just the, you know, all of the positions I have on free and open information, I kind of, you know, it's been a while since I've done the torrent thing. I've kind of, my media acquisition has just changed methodologies. But KickassTorrents kind of rose to power and kind of filled the void left by the Pirate Bay. The Pirate Bay is still around, but just due to the constant war against them, they've had a very hard time attaining the volume that they used to get. Apparently, KickassTorrents filled that void. Well, the founder, or the alleged founder, I guess, Artem Volin from the Ukraine, was arrested a few days ago, and as of this recording, I think it's still offline. Just double check.
Dang.
How did you know?
You go in the house a little bit.
Yep. This domain, KickassTorrents, has been seized. FBI, Homeland Security, Department of the Treasury.
Nuts.
Oh. No, well, it's definitely still down. And I don't know, I just like to keep an eye on these types of things. Just because on the one thing, you know, we're a creative bunch. We produce content, and you know, we try to sell and make money off of our content. I mean, right now we're small, and that's, you know, that's happening at a very slow trickle with YouTube views. But you know, I feel like there's a really delicate balance that's not really upheld very well here in the United States between the the right of the people to have access to information, and the right of creators to protect their information. Because a lot of the copyright that happens here is done more on behalf of very large organizations and corporations, and not so much the artists that produce it. And I don't know, I've always found that really screwed up. And like it's kind of anti-capitalist in a sense, where even with consumer demand, we can't seem to get our content providers to offer us content in the way that we want it. Like Netflix's consistent battles with licensing. I mean, read another article this week that Netflix has made a global launch, but now their stock's tanked because they can't sort out licensing to offer people outside of the U.S. a lot of the same content they would get inside the U.S. And then they're also trying to find local content, and that's being a bit of an issue too. And it's like,
right.
If I'm a large media conglomerate with content to get out to people, I don't understand why they feel the need to not cooperate. Like, people want to pay money to stream your content over the internet on demand, and there are several services out there that'll do it for you. Come to the table and make a deal. But,
well,
no.
So it kind of comes back to money, right?
Yeah.
And it comes back to why we need money in the first place. To trade goods, to provide value or whatever. So that we can all put food on our table, have roofs over our heads, and hopefully drive autonomous cars in the future. Play video games, dick around, whatever, right? With how technology is advancing, it's made so many things that we pay for or used to pay for obsolete. For example, back when we were little tykes, you had to buy calculators. You had to buy a separate camera or a calculator and a separate phone, and a computer, and all that stuff. And now all that stuff is in this little thing right here. Technology is making a lot of that kind of stuff obsolete, and a lot of those concepts obsolete. And with what we just talked about with Elon's master plan to make cars more autonomous, and you can not only, when you're not even using the vehicle, it provides you income, and it provides a self-driving capacity, so you can do more with the time that you have while you're in the car. It's making all those pieces obsolete. Makes it a lot more affordable to own a car, or even almost free, right? Because putting it back into the fleet almost makes it free, because it's paying for essentially paying. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it has potential to do that, right? So then that eliminates the need for money too, essentially, because you're already you're not having to pay for a vehicle anymore, essentially. But at least that's where that path is going to go. Stay with me. There's a point to this.
Sorry, it just got really
I read dark and foreboding. I'm talking about Elon's master plan, and it just gets dark, like a supervillain. Anyway,
I don't know.
I was reading the article. I'm subscribed to Peter Diamandis's one of his blogs, and Peter Diamandis founded the X Prize and has done a fucking myriad of other amazing things and works with Elon a lot. Anyway, I subscribed to his blog, and he's talking about making all the things that we pay for right now obsolete in the next generation or two. I mean, food is becoming more sustainable and producible at cheaper rates. With vertical gardens and crops and all that kind of stuff. It's getting to the point now there's not that many small farmers anymore. That's speaking from experience. Knowing a bunch of farmers. and the bigger corporations are about buying all that land, right? A lot of the things that we used to pay for are becoming easier and easier to access. Information, we used to have to buy books all of the time. Now we can get most of those books right here or on this little piece of technology we call a laptop or a computer, and all that information is so easily accessible. For the first time in our entire civilization's history, the knowledge of the world is accessible to anyone that has access to a phone or a computer. So the point to this entire rant is, although I understand the need for an artist to make money on their art, and I think that they should make money from their art, and I think there should be value there, because I think what artists do is very valuable. Being a group of creatives, I understand that. That being said, I also think that technology, the problem here is technology, right? Mm-hmm. What's creating this value problem is the technology, right? But I think that's also going to end up being the solution too, because I think in at least in our lifetimes, we're not going to need money anymore, because all the stuff that we pay for now, we think about how much money you spend. What do you spend the most money on? Housing, food, car, that kind of stuff, right? Electricity, your bills for electricity, cell phone, all that kind of stuff. That stuff is ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking down because of how technology is improving. You're not going to have to pay pretty soon. You won't have to pay for electricity now if you just got solar panels. With what Tesla's doing, pretty soon we're going to have an ability not to have to pay for a car anymore. And housing is going to get better as people figure out as commute gets easier, and as cars get easier, and as autonomous cars start entering our world, we're not going to have to worry about housing anymore, because the reason property is so valuable in some certain areas of the world is because of its location, right? Well, location itself is going to become obsolete with telecommuting and autonomous cars. The property value is going to go down. And food is going to be solved by that thing I was just talking about. So artists needing to make money off of what they're doing isn't going to be as important anymore, because all those basic needs are going to get taken care of, and then you can just spend all day creating art and sharing your art with the world all you want. So, I mean, do I still live in the real world? Yeah, I understand that we still need to make money from artists, but that problem should get solved. But I think it's I think while we could spend a lot of time and a lot of headache solving it, I think it's going to end up being a moot point in the near future. It's just a thought. It's food for thought, basically.
Circling back to the original topic, I guess my big knock on copy protection today in today's world is that they're not for us. They're not for Rivet City. They're not for artists like Rivet or Elon or any of the other small-time creatives that we know. They're not for.
Oh, absolutely.
They're to protect the big people that have already eaten up the rights to good things, and so I have a hard time finding some crocodile tears for Sony or
right. And I totally agree. And part of what I was getting at is that I think that the technology is going to surpass the regulation.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a point where none of it's going to matter.
I just wanted to poke them, my little.
Yeah.
No one from their company will ever read, how much I truly despise them. and
yeah. You guys tweet at them.
Yeah. I should make a Twitter.
Do a daily tweet at them.
Tweets at Warner Brothers and NBC, Comcast, conglomerate of death. By the way, it's every 12 hours on the dot.
I hate you, blow out your ass.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Well, you should do it at intervals so that way it doesn't like just automatically block you. Anyway, all right. Well, other than that technology rant that I went on. Well, you got anything else?
No, I kicked my dog out.
Storm coming.
Down.
Cool. All right, man. Sounds good. This is a good stream, and I will be streaming on Monday.
Sweet.
So I will be back in the Red. Well, our next flash will be back in Red Fortress. So look for that next Thursday.
See you guys Thursday.
All right. Root City signing off.